Hi, Parmeshwaran. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, Archana. Thank you. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Uh, First of all, I want to thank you for giving me the permission to record this call in advance. And I also wanted to check with you, Parmeshwaran. Uh, you know, if this call gets okay, if I have your permission to show it to my coach mentor for my PCC credential application?
Yeah, sure. You could do that.
Thank you. So, just a few things to share with you that the space we'll create today is completely non-judgmental and safe. So feel free, whatever's on your mind, you can talk about it. Also, if anytime you feel you're not comfortable with a question and you don't want to answer that, that liberty is entirely yours. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Sure.
there's
Thank
no
you.
pressure of any kind.
Okay.
How much time do we have today, Parmeshwar?
I think we have around 50 minutes, 50.
Sure. So what is the most important thing you would like to talk about?
Um, so actually, I wanted to share with you about, so I'm undergoing a career transition at this point of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've moved from a sales to a marketing role.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just to give you a context, you know, I've been in sales for close to 20 years in my life now, and then just about 4 months back, I got this opportunity to head marketing,
Mm-hmm.
So I moved into that role, and uh, I'm sort of finding it extremely challenging at this point of time in my life, you know.
Okay.
Um, the role is new, and secondly, I'm not getting any support from the organization,
Okay.
to sort of, uh, you know, mm, learn the role and learn the new function and all of that, and expected to hit the ground running. And so as a consequence, I'm sort of feeling quite stressed at this point of time, and I'm almost beginning to question, did I do the right thing by accepting this new opportunity that has come. So I really wanted to discuss this in our conversation today.
Okay. Hmm. So I'm hearing that you moved from a sales to a marketing role, and it's a new role, and you're kind of struggling with it in the sense that you're not seeing much support there. The role is new, it's a new function for you, and all of this is making you feel stressed, and somewhere in your head you're contemplating, did you even make the right move? Did you take the right decision?
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
So what about this is so important for you, Parmeshwaran, that you decided to bring it to our conversation today?
Yeah, this is important, because I've taken this decision now. Obviously, there's no going back, so I really need to make this work for myself. And I'm also at a stage of my life where, so I've been in this organization for a very long time, so I'm also at a stage of this life where I'm not very keen to look out for opportunities as well. So really want to be within the organization. So it's very important for me to be successful in this role so that I'm able to establish myself, in the new role. And also, secondly, see, I have this aspiration to head the business unit for the organization, and one of the reasons, of course, this role was offered to be also was that they said that you need to have marketing experience, before we can even consider you for that role. And so it's also important I do well in this because it also ties in with, what I want to achieve eventually in my life. So it's extremely important that I'm successful in this role.
Hmm. 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 I'm curious to know a little when you say that it ties up with what I want to achieve in my life. Can you share a little bit more there?
Yeah. So, my aspiration at this point is to head the business unit. So I've been leading the sales function for a very long time. As I told you, I started from a rep and then I became a head of sales. And my aspiration is to head a business unit. Now, obviously, when you're heading a business unit, you need to have both sales and marketing acumen.
Mhm.
So now sales is something I'm very comfortable with, but marketing is something that I have not had any exposure before.
Hmm.
So what I mean is, for me to be able to reach my goal of becoming a business unit head, I really need to do well in this role.
Hmm. And just to clarify, you have made this move, a transition from sales to marketing within the same organization.
Yeah. It's the same organization. It's the same business. So same bosses, everything is the same. Yeah.
Hmm. So, Parmeshwaran, you said sales is your forte. You've been there, done that. From a rep, you moved to a head of sales. What made you transition to the marketing side of the business?
Mm. So a couple of things, Archana. One, of course, as I said, it ties in with what I eventually want to achieve.
Hmm.
But in addition to that, I was also getting a bit bored with sales, because I've been doing it for so long that some amount of boredom has set in.
Hmm.
And I'm generally somebody who gets bored of doing the same thing for a long period of time. Now,
Hmm.
when I tell this to people, they often, this there's I meet with a lot of skepticism because they say you've been with one organization for 20 years and you say that you're somebody who gets bored. But then, within the organization, I've always had some change, so either it will be a geographical relocation. So I've not stayed in one geography for more than 3 years. So by the time I start getting bored, I have moved to another geography. So sometimes it's like, you move from, say, Coimbatore to West Bengal. And so it's almost like a completely new beginning, a new
Hmm.
team, a new culture. So your relationships have to start all over again and all of that. So by nature, I'm somebody who gets bored, around 3 years. So I have this 3 years itch, I used to call it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So at the end of 3 years, I sort of get the sense that I need some change. So I became the head of sales, and then, it's about 3 years now. So I started getting this thing that now it's getting boring. I'm doing the same job again and again. So I had actually had a conversation with my boss and said, that I really need a different role. And then he said that would you be interested in marketing, because it will also something that will help you for your future. So it was something I really wanted. So it was by choice that I really moved to marketing.
Okay. So I'm hearing two things here. One, you like change. Yeah, you get bored of things easily. And one of the reasons for you to make this transition was from sales to marketing was that you were getting bored and you needed that change. That was one. Second, what I'm hearing from you is that it was a very conscious decision on your part to make this move. Yeah.
Yes.
Would that be correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Param, if you had to share, sorry, Parmeshwaran, if you had to share with me in one line, what specifically do you want to focus on today? What would that be?
So I really want to explore, in terms of uh, how can I make this transition smoother? Right now it's proving to be very stressful for me.
Hmm.
So what is it that I can do, so that I'm able to make a transition smoother? I'm able to um, get into this new role and, be able to do a good job of it. And yeah, so, yeah, so that's basically what I'm looking at.
Hmm. Hmm. And, let's imagine you're able to kind of get into it, ace this, and kind of, just become as good as what you were doing in sales. How would that serve you?
For one, it'll bring me a lot of satisfaction, because this is one of the biggest challenges that I'm going through right now in my life, actually. And so, to be able to come out of it successfully and be a success, I think it will bring me a great deal of satisfaction. And in addition to that, of course, I think it will also help me because at least stand a good chance of getting of becoming a business unit head as well. So in that sense, it will also help me. So I think it's very, very important for me at this point.
Yeah, can see I saw a change in your energy as you shared that. Very, very important for me. How would you define success in our conversation today?
So if I'm able to get some ideas, in terms of what are some of the things that I can do to be able to make this transition, smoother. Some very concrete, I think it's about concrete ideas, and these are ideas which I feel that, they're very realistic, they're practical, they're ideas that I can work on. And these are ideas which will help me actually to make the transition smoothly.
Okay. So 2-3 ideas which could help you make this transition smoother, so that you're no longer struggling, which you currently are.
Correct.
And what would tell you that you've actually reached there, it's now smooth? What would indicate that to you?
So if I don't face this, day-to-day stress that I seem to be facing now, and so more at peace with myself, and I'm sort of getting the sense that I'm heading in the right direction, that I'm moving in the right direction. I know things are not going to change overnight. It's going to be a journey, but at least if I get the sense that I'm in the right direction and moving closer to my, to the way I define success, I think that will be an achievement for me.
I hear you, Parmeshwaran. But what will tell you that you're in the right direction? How would you know that?
I think it would be a gut feel more than anything else. To me, it will be more of it's a very intuitive feeling that, I'm in the right direction. And then, of course, so for today, for example, I'll give you one example, so today what typically happens, and this is a feedback I got very recently, so there was a presentation that, I needed to make, so, and the way I did it was I typically brought in the sales framework when I was sort of doing it, and then at the end of it, brought in some elements of marketing. And, the feedback that I got from my boss was that you should have actually done it the other way around. When you're looking at marketing, you sort of look at the other concepts and sales will be an outcome of that. So, when I sort of get this sense, in these, I'm able to incorporate some of these subtle changes in the way that I'm looking at my role, at my function. I get this sense that I'm in the right direction. And of course, I think my boss's feedback also would be important when he also starts saying that, I can see you making progress. I can see that you're, and I think my team's acceptance as well. When the teams also sort, because I have a team of fairly mature product managers, so they have been in marketing. Some of them have been in marketing for 10, 12 years now. So when they see that I'm able to add some value, when they see that, I think it will again give me a sense I'm in the right direction.
Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of clarity there with that, Parmeshwaran. A lot of clarity in terms of how would you get there, and your boss's feedback. It seems you've thought through this to a great extent. So what's coming in the way? Because your thought process was very clear in terms of what would indicate to you that you've got there. What needs to be taken care of?
Yeah, so, the challenge is that I sort of need to adapt. Like I said, I gave you the example of the framework that I used. I moved from sales to marketing the presentation. So uh, I get this feeling that I need to um, get some sort of a formal introduction to marketing. I mean, in a very structured manner from somebody. It could be a mentor, or it could be a coach, or it could be a sort of training program or something like that.
Hmm.
And don't seem to be getting that from the organization at this point of time, because the challenge that I'm having is my boss is also somebody who is from a strategic background. He's not somebody who's from core marketing,
Hmm.
so I'm not really getting any inputs from him, so he sort of is able to say that this is not up to the mark, but then he's not able to give any inputs in terms of more concretely saying what is something that I can do. So that's something that's not happening. And the organization also has not sort of done anything so far, although I've
Hmm.
been reaching out and all, they're not done so far. So the challenge that I'm having is that, a lot of things I'm still doing from my gut, from my understanding of intuitively of what marketing is, but I sense that, the structure, the rigor, etc., that I need to bring to it, it is not there. And I'm sort of worried that, over a period of time, this is something that will show up, and it's not something that, I'm comfortable with.
Hmm. 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 It's interesting. So on one side, I am noticing that you're still grappling with this. You're saying that nobody, in a very structured way has given you a download in terms of how it needs to happen, what needs to happen. You're kind of
Yeah,
fishing for it on your own. And
yeah,
you're missing that rigor.
correct.
Yeah. On the other side, I see that clarity, that I need to excel. I need to do this well.
Yeah.
Hmm. What's your position in this organization, Parmeshwara?
So when you say position,
At
so
what
sort of,
level are you working in the organization, if you're
okay,
comfortable
okay.
sharing?
Yeah, 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 sure, sure. So I'm actually now working as the director of marketing
Hmm.
in the organization. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I was the director sales, and I moved to director marketing
Hmm.
in the organization.
Okay.
So I have a team of marketing managers who in turn have a team of product managers who report in.
So that's a fairly senior position you're already at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
Yeah. So I heard you say, you know, I'm not getting this download. Yeah. Nobody's kind of helping me here in a structured way. What do you think, the business leaders or the management's expectation from senior people like yours is?
Mm, I think they expect you to hit the ground running. They expect you to deliver. They expect you. They expect you to be strategic in terms of what you do. Um, and I think these are some of the things that come to my mind
Mhm.
in terms
Mhm.
of what would be the expectation.
Mhm. Hmm. So strategy, hit the ground running, all of that.
Very result oriented.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, of course, building the team and all, which I think is part of any leadership, in my opinion.
Hmm. 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 So that's their expectation.
Yeah, I would think so.
Hmm. What are you expecting of yourself? And if I can just expand that, what are you
Mhm.
expecting of yourself when you are in this director marketing role and the ambition is to eventually head one of the business units in the organization?
Mm. Yeah, I think so. From this role, I'm very clear, that I really want to establish myself in this role. So I know that I'll always be looked at as somebody who is a salesperson, but I really want to inherently be somebody now who will be looked up as a marketing person as well. So I would really want, my bosses, my team, and even my sales team, old sales team, to say, because when I was on the other side, I often used to say, we often used to pull down marketing and say that, they're doing shoddy work and all of that, So at least, I want that those things should change, that, they should look at marketing as a function that's contributing, that's pulling its strength and all of that. So that's what I would really want in terms of my current role and in terms of my, if I really am able to be good at this, I think it really paved the way for me to become the business unit head, because sales, as a sales head, I've got a lot of recognition in the organization. People really vouch that I've been good in that. So once I'm able to prove my credentials in marketing as well, I don't see any challenge then, in being able to occupy the next position. I don't know whether I was answering your question. I think I got a bit diverted.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You're just sharing what's on your mind.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of success in your sales role, right?
Yeah.
What were some of your top strengths there which helped you achieve that success?
So one is I was very adaptable, because, I worked, with different teams. I worked with people with different levels of experience, people who are much younger to me, people who are much older to me. And so I've been very adaptable. So I think that's one strength that I bring. Second, I'm also somebody who's generally very analytical. So I can look at data and generally, even though I was in sales, and generally, sales is a lot of emotion, but then I used to, whenever I used to meet my team, used to go with a very strong logic that used to come from an analysis of data. So I think that's the second thing that I'm good at. I think I'm also fairly good at communication. I think I can communicate effectively to, people. What else? Yeah, I think these are the top strengths that I can think now. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I think I'm also good at change, because I remember, sometime back, when we brought another organization and we needed to integrate the two teams at the sales level, we managed it very well. And in fact, I was really appreciated for being able to do that well. So I think I'm also good at bringing in change, managing change.
Wow. So adaptable, analytical, great at communication, and the ability to manage change well. Yeah. That's a lot to acknowledge you for, Parmeshwaran. Fantastic.
Honestly, I never thought of it. Your question has made me think.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. As you think of this new role in marketing, director marketing, which of these strengths are getting leveraged and anything which is not getting leveraged so far for you?
So I think in terms of analytical, of course, I've already started doing some good work, so so today, when the team comes to me and asks me and all that, I really ask them to give me data to support what they're saying. So that's the change that I'm trying to bring in, because before, in the initial 1 month or so, I saw, that people were just talking through their hat, so that's something that I've made them stop. I said, for me, you need to come with data, show what you have analyzed, what's the insight, and therefore what's the action emerging from the insight. So that's, I think, is something that I put in place quite well. Then in terms of, yeah, adaptability, again, I think I'm trying to adapt to the new role. Again, it's something that I'm doing, although the territory is a bit unfamiliar. And so, I'm sort of trying to understand the territory a bit more. And in terms of managing change, I'm not really sure, because I think I was able to manage the external change quite well. But honestly, this is a slightly different situation where I'm the person who's undergoing the change. So I'm not very sure how well I'm being able to manage it. Honestly,
And what is this telling you about yourself?
I think one of the things it's also telling me is that I think I'm not taking time off to reflect, So I think today is the first conversation where I'm really reflecting a bit, on this whole thing, So I think actually there's, so much of work to be done, So it's like there's so much of work around, because we're also launching a new vaccine. And so it's like almost, I'm neck deep in terms of work. And so I'm not really getting any time to think as well, And so I'm doing work, but I feel that there is a lot more I need to do. I have to spend some time in learning, in training. I'm not getting that sort of time. And so all of that is also resulting in the stress. So, yeah, I think it's telling me that, while I've been able to manage external change before, I don't think I'm managing this internal change very well. Yeah, I don't think I'm spending time in thinking and reflecting, in terms of what is something I can do. Yeah.
And how do you think, when you say that external change, you're still able to manage better, but it's the internal change which you're not able to do still such a good job. Now, if you were to work on this reflection, spending a little more time working on this internal change, how do you see your life different?
Yeah, I think I'll be able to take some more proactive steps, which I don't seem to be doing now. At this point, I'm seeming to be in a very reactive frame of mind, where I just seem to be jumping from one thing to the other, So there's this huge new vaccine launch that is there. So, a lot of time goes in that. Then I jump into a review with my team. And so it's just like, it's like when I enter the office from the morning to night, my calendar is blocked. It's like I'm jumping from one meeting to the other. And so I think if I'm able to take this time to reflect and find some time, I think I'll become more proactive. So like I said, I really need to spend some time on learning in this space, but I'm not able to do it right now because just jumping in from one to the other. So I think that's the biggest difference I see.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that realization. I was curious, Parmeshwaran, you said now with this awareness that, I don't think I'm spending much time learning. Yeah. And initially I heard you say, well, I was looking at someone downloading, looking at a little more structured way in somebody downloading in what's expected of me and what am I supposed to do? How do you look at both of these?
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, I think the onus on learning will have to be on me. I think that's what is coming up for me, So, yeah, I don't think there is somebody who's going to hand over things to me on a platter. I don't think that's going to happen. It's something I'm realizing. So I think the onus will really be on me So I will have to find the time. I will also have to decide on the resources,
Hmm.
will be which I can look up to learn.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I think, yeah, so it's more on me, it's about me.
Hmm.
I don't think I can expect somebody to sort of, hand it over to me on a platter. No, that's not going to happen. I'm realizing that. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So just wanted to take a pause and check with you, Parmeshwaran. We are like 25 plus minutes into the conversation.
Mhm.
How do you think this is progressing with respect to you moving to get some concrete ideas in terms of settling down in your marketing role and doing better? How do you think we are progressing there?
No, I think we're progressing well. Archana. At least there are a few points, few ideas that have definitely come up. I think the most recent being, in terms of the fact that the onus on learning is, on me, and I'll have to. And the second thing for me was find some time for reflection because it will help me to take more proactive action.
Mhm.
So I think those are two very good ideas that have emerged for me,
Hmm.
and so I think we are in the right direction.
Okay. Okay. So onus of learning is on you and you investing and spending some time in reflection. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. You initially said, I am struggling.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking, this is what I've heard from you. Are there any strengths of yours which are not at play? And if you exercised those, could get you more success here?
Mhm. So, you know, so one of the things I've always had is, I've been somebody who has reached out for help, and I've been somebody, like, even with my bosses, I've been very open and very transparent, and I've often reached out to those people for help and all of that. Uh, but I think in this case, that doesn't seem to be happening. I think I'm sort of, I myself get this feeling that I'm not, sort of doing as well as I should. And I get this sense that I'm slightly getting into a shell, on account of that. And so I'm also seeing that, I'm not really reaching out for help as well.
Mm.
Sort of trying to do this on my own. And that's not the way I was in sales. I can remember, because
Mm.
I used to be very open and have conversations, and even if I was stuck, go and have conversations. And I sort of get a sense that doesn't seem to be happening. So maybe that's something that I can look at.
Okay.
Okay.
So what you're sharing is that you've always been transparent and that's right kind of helped you in your professional relationships,
Yeah, yeah.
and you kind of hesitant to kind of or not doing enough of that here.
Yes. Definitely, yes.
Mhm. Just curious to know, Parmeshwaran, what's holding you back? If that's a strength and you're saying that's also worked for you in the past, you had great relationships,
Mm,
what's holding you back now?
mm. Yeah, I think it's this, there seems to be a little bit of lack of confidence now in this, in this new role. Because for me, and it's something that I'm not used to, honestly, because I've seen that in the last, I mean, ever since I've been in sales, I never had to struggle, it was all my transitions were very smooth transitions. And for the first time, I'm seem to be in a situation where I'm a little unsure of the direction. And so I think somewhere my confidence seems to be affected. And I think this seems to be making me a little bit more withdrawn. So it sort of seems to be getting into a shell is what I realize.
Hmm.
And that's one of the reasons I think I'm not getting into too many conversations and all of that. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that seems to be happening.
Okay. So feeling a little low on confidence, and what
Yeah.
you're sharing is that is probably not kind of allowing you to be that transparent and reach out for support.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. That's what's happening.
Hmm. But I also heard you say that communication is your strength.
Yeah. That's true, but that I think comes more in the context of, so when I have to communicate something, or it's like there is an idea that I have to communicate, or something, there's a very complex subject that I want to make very easy for the audience. So I seem to be good in those areas. But
Hmm.
at this point, somehow I don't think I'm communicating.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So let's presume, Parmeshwaram, there's this road you're standing on, and you can see your goalpost way ahead. And on that goalpost, it's written business unit head for marketing. Yeah. And you're somewhere at a 60% distance you've already achieved on that road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that 60% that you've achieved is through your strengths of analytical adaptability, the ability to manage change well, communication. What what do you say, these milestones do you see from this 60% to reach to that 100%? Yeah. In this marketing role, what needs to be plugged in there as milestones for you
Mhm.
so that you can reach that target of business unit head marketing, and of course get to be more successful in this current role?
Mhm. Yeah. So um, I think the first milestone is, that see, the marketing function somehow doesn't have a lot of teeth in the organization, you know. So over a period of time, what has happened, vaccines has been sort of looked at more as a commodity product. So brand building has not been done. So, one of the challenges that I was given when I took over is that, you know, the organization needs to be more of a marketing driven organization, or more of a, so there has to be an emphasis on brand building. So I think that's the first milestone. So if there are certain things that I do which will change the image of the function, that it's now focused more on brand building, not on just commoditization of the products. And I think that's one important milestone that I see. uh, the transformation. The second important milestone that I see is, we are expected to deliver long range plans, 5 years plans, etc. And we need to make these presentations to the global vaccine, leadership. So if I can do a good job there, I think that's again something which will definitely be a big plus for me. And what else? Yeah, I think these are two very important milestones. And I think the moment these things happen, and I think I will be looked at as somebody who can be a good marketer as well. And I think, it will sort of enhance my reputation as a marketer as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh,
So a lot of clarity there when you were sharing that, Parmeshwaran. And tell me, which are some of your strengths which will help you achieve these?
mm, yeah. I think my analytical skills will really help because, you know, as I said, insight is very important, whenever you work, uh, in marketing. And I think I have that ability, to be able to generate insights from data. So I think that's one area that will really help me. Second, I think I have very good leadership skills as well,
Okay.
because that's something which has been with me all through my career. So I think I will be able to show that leadership to the marketing team as well, and uh, so it's a bit like, giving them also a vision of, how the marketing function needs to be. And with my leadership style, I think I should be able to do that. So get them on board so that, all of us are part of the journey of bringing about this change. I think that's the second thing, second strength. So I think, yeah, leadership and analytics. And then, of course, the other one like communication, etc. All of the actually all of these can come in very handy. Yeah.
Okay. Mhm, mhm, mm, mm. So, what do you see yourself doing differently now in terms of those concrete steps? What comes to you there?
So two, three things come out clearly, Archana, from the conversation we've had today. I think one is I really need to pull myself out of the daily grind and spend some time decide what I need to do proactively rather than just be reactive, which is what I'm being now. Uh, the second thing is I also, will prepare my own learning plan. I think that's important. Uh, whether the organization does that or not, I think I will prepare my own learning plan on how do I plan to learn the marketing framework and all of that. Um, Thirdly, I think, I also need to reach out. I think I'm not doing that enough. I think I need to reach out for help.
Hmm.
And I think I really need to, while I've said that I will make a plan for myself, I'm also thinking I should reach out to HR and I should reach out to my boss and say that, are there some additional resources that they can provide me, which will help me in my learning journey? Because I think that would also really, really help, rather than just doing it alone. If I can get some resources from them as well, it can
Hmm.
help. So I think these three ideas come to my mind,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do I have your permission to challenge you a bit?
Yeah, sure.
So, you said earlier role transparency is what helped you, and you said initially you said I'm not reaching out. Now I'm hearing I plan to reach out to HR, plan to reach out to my boss. So, what will Parmeshwaran tell himself there when he feels this urge and need to reach out? What advice will you give to yourself there? Because you've been struggling with it so far, you said.
Yeah, I think I mean, what I need to tell really myself is that this is a game which will be difficult to win alone, you know, and it will be a very lonely fight in that case. So what I really need to tell myself is that at least let me make an attempt to reach out, get some support. So the way I'm looking at it is, I will do things independently as well, irrespective of whether the support comes in. But then I'm also going to ask for support. So at least, let me try and see if there is something that comes which will accelerate my learning or help me in my learning. So I think, it's a decision that I'm taking as a part of this conversation. There's something I really need to do because it will help me.
Mhm. And how do you feel when you share this with me now?
So I feel a lot lighter, honestly, Archana, because I think when I entered this conversation, it was like, you know, uh, it's just like I've been pushed into something, and now it's up to me to swim or drown. You know,
Hmm.
that's the sense I was entering the conversation with. But I think through a lot of reflection that I've done, I also feel that, yeah, while of course the onus is completely on me, I think I should ask for help as well. And I feel a lot lighter now. And for all I know, maybe there's something that comes, which is useful and which can help me. So I feel a lot lighter actually.
Okay. Oh, you sounded very confident sharing that, Parmeshwaran. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. So where are we now in the conversation with respect to your goal of, you know, becoming better in marketing and getting some ideas there?
No, I think we made good progress, Archana, because as I said, when I entered, I was quite stressed and I was actually really asking myself whether I took the right decision. Although I know, being in sales also, I would have felt really, really, bored because it was my own decision to move here.
Hmm.
So, but I think with the conversation and with some ideas which are very concrete, which I feel are realistic and which I feel are some things that are implemented,
Hmm.
I feel a lot more confident in terms of going back and trying this out. And I'm quite hopeful they will work and they will sort of serve me well. So in that sense, yes, very useful.
How motivated do you feel right now to work towards these action steps that you just spoke about?
No, very motivated because this is a very, as I said, this is the most important challenge in my life, you know. And I want to be successful at it. I want to overcome it well. And so I'm really charged in terms of going out and trying out these things.
Sure. And not that we wish this, Parmeshwaran, but do you foresee anything coming in the way for you to work towards this?
I think it's just that, mm, you know, I'm going through a change, so obviously there's a lot of discomfort, so again, there will be situations which I know will not, where I'll have doubts, where I'll question myself. I'm sure those situations will continue to come because this area is still relatively new to me. And that's the only thing, so during those periods of time, I need to be mindful. That's all. So that's the biggest challenge that I see.
Okay. And what would you remind yourself in those moments?
I think the first thing is, this is it's a new journey. So so things are not going to happen overnight, so I can't just say that because I've been successful in sales, immediately that success will rub off here. So it is going to take a little while. So first thing I think I need to tell myself, I need to be a little patient. And I think I need to measure improvements, that am I at least, growing, and am I doing, improving in the right direction. And as long as I'm doing that, I need to tell myself, give myself some time, I think, that, okay, say at the end of the year is when, I can sort of say whether I've been successful or not. Because I think I'm also trying to push myself a little too much, is the sense I'm getting. So I think that's something I need to do.
I want to acknowledge you for this, Parmeshwaran. There was a lot of clarity, a lot of confidence as you just share this with me now. I mean, what would tell you that you're progressing well?
So as I told you, I'm somebody who's quite self-critical and self-analytical. So I think, like, I get this sense that I'm probably not doing very well now. I will also get a sense when I'm doing, up to my own expectation or my standards. So I have a strong intuition, strong gut feel. So I sort of sense that this is moving in the right direction. But more concretely, of course, as I told you, there are 2-3 clear areas that have been identified, that we need to work on. So if we're making progress in those areas, like, making marketing stronger in the organization, delivering the long range plans well. So I think all of those are indications that I started doing well.
Okay. Do you need any other support to help you work towards this?
Nothing very concrete, except, that I think I need to really reach out to HR and to my boss and see if there is a formal intervention also that they can help with, in addition to whatever I'm doing on my own. And that's something that I intend to do when I go back.
Sure. So, Parmeshwaran, we are nearly towards the end of our time today. If you had to kind of share with me, what do you want to acknowledge yourself for in this conversation? What would that be?
I think the first thing is, I've taken time to reflect really in the conversation. I think that's something that I would like to acknowledge. Second, I think I've been very open and transparent in terms of all the challenges that I've been facing. So, and third, I think I had the courage to look things for what they are, and some of the things were a little uncomfortable, but I think seeing the truth or seeing the reality has really sort of also made me feel a bit lighter. So I think I'd like to acknowledge that for myself.
I can see the smile on your face. Yes,
Yeah.
and I'd like to acknowledge you for the same. I think from where you started to where you're now, I think I saw a lot of clarity coming through. You sounding more confident, and I don't know if I am. I'm picking that correctly. You at least
No, I
sound a
am
lot
feeling
more.
more. I'm definitely feeling more confident now.
Okay, good, good. Do you want me to help you with anything else for this call today?
No, thanks, Archana. I think the call has been very helpful,
Hmm,
and thank you so much for this today.
sure. So, do I have your permission to end the conversation now?
Yeah, sure. We can close.
Thank you so
Definitely.
much. Thank you.